Hey folks, Jamie Sanderson here, the Culinary Encourager. I'm at Mojo's Marina Bar and Grill with my friend Chef Chris. Chef, how are you, sir?
Good, how about you, bud?
Good, man. I'm glad to be here. We are doing some stuff for the second annual MarshWalk Restaurant Week. They've asked me to come back to be part of the 8 restaurants that are doing this. I'm so excited to be with my chef friends. I am glad to be back at the MarshWalk. The food here is so great, Chris, and I'm looking forward to what you're about to do. So real quick, tell me what's been going on so far since I've last seen you.
Well, quite a few things actually. You know, I came down here from Wicked Tune up in Myrtle Beach and was asked to come down here. We're just trying to reinvent the menu a little bit, give us more of an identity as to what we want to do here. And we're going with more of a Caribbean Cuban kind of mesh what we want to do. So I think it's nice because we don't have a whole lot of that down here in this area. It just gives people a different flavor, different sample, something to try, which is, I think, if you can stand out and do something different and bring it to the table like that at a reasonable cost, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes, and now I'm going to turn the show over here to Chris, and he's going to go over what they're going to offer for Restaurant Week, which starts February 21st and goes to February 25th. Chris, the show's all yours, buddy. Let's see what you got going on.
Some of the things we have is for the dishes that we're going to be offering for you guys is you're going to have a choice of tortilla soup and a salad. Then after that, we're going to have our roasted fingerling, papas fritas. Or then we finish off with a tamale entree dish and a roasted half chicken dish and blanca frita, which is a traditional Cuban dish as well.
Nice.
What I want to do for you guys is we're going to show you a little bit of the breakdown for the tortilla soup and how we do our blanca frita steak.
Okay, I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right, just to give you guys a little bit of sample, what we'll do is first what we'll do is we get the oil. I have the pans on already. For the tortilla soup, one of the classics, one of the actual hidden secrets about this is every tortilla soup comes with little fried tortilla shreds on there. But the key is, after frying the tortilla shreds, actually keeping the oil that you fry the tortillas, because it gives them some of that kind of a smoky, nutty flavor that actually adds a nice, good body and flavor to the tortilla soup itself.
Yeah, that's good.
I stole this from my grandma. She looks at this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of that to it first. We want to get, the pans for us are going to be nice and hot already.
Yep.
And then for this, what we got is we have a little garlic, a little jalapeno, and a little white onion. Everything just a nice small dice.
I want to talk about why it's important to have small dices when you're doing stuff like this.
Well, for a soup like this of this nature, I mean, some people prefer more rustic chop or rougher chop. If you're doing like a stew, you want to get some of the bigger chunks of veggies, whatever you have in there. Like for me personally, like for tortilla soup, you're going to have the chicken in there, which is going to have a big part of the actual soup itself. So for this kind of stuff, you kind of want to do a nice small dice. It breaks down the flavor, breaks down the heat of the jalapeno a little bit more, and the garlic, so it doesn't overpower the action.
Well, the aromas are already talking to me. I can tell you that right now. Great smell right there.
Yep. And then what we'll do is we're going to let this go for maybe about another 30 to 45 seconds. And then after that, what we'll do is we have actual, I use any kind of Roma or 5x6 tomato, any kind of tomato you might have. I just rub it down with a little bit of oil, salt, and pepper, and then we roast it and kind of char the skin. And then we'll just kind of do like a little bit of a rough chop and add that to it. What we'll do is just, again, it adds a little bit of that charred, smoky flavor, gets a little more body to the actual soup itself. With that, have here. I have some of the tomatoes that we just basically, once we pulled them out, the roasted ones, we actually just did a nice small chop on, like a little rough chop on those. You can add that to there. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have a nice base for all this.
Yeah, you've already got some nice colors in it.
Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that cook for maybe about a minute max on that. And then once that's all heated up, what we do is we have a little bit of chicken stock and the chicken itself. The one nice thing about tortilla soup, it's a very traditional classic dish for the region, but it's also very easy to execute. And, I mean, your prep time on a soup like this is maybe 20 minutes. The longest thing is the roasting of the tomatoes or the blanching or steaming of your chicken. Everything else is very simple, very easy to pull off.
That's really important because a lot of people talk about simplicity in a dish and they get confused. Well, if it's so simple, the flavor's not there. That's not the case.
That's exactly.
Right? The more simpler a dish is, the more flavor you actually get out of it.
Absolutely. And something like this, too, this is one of those dishes, too, where once you have everything incorporated, you just kind of put it on the simmer and let all those flavors and everything you have cooking in there just marinate and give you a nice, really bold flavor. So that what we have is we just have your normal chicken stock, which if you want to bouillon cube with water, chicken stock, powder, whatever you guys have. So you got some of the char in there, and then we'll add the actual stock to it.
Nice. That's really coming together. pretty
Yes,
good.
it is. And we'll sit there and we'll let that go for about 5 minutes. And then what we'll do is we also have our pulled white chicken,
Right.
which, you know, you don't have to really worry about seasoning. You can put salt on your chicken if you want it before you season it, but otherwise it's not necessary because we always have the chicken stock in here.
Yes.
And we have seasoning on our stuff. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of that in there as well.
Now, one of the issues you could run into is that if you did season the chicken too much, you could actually over season it once you add it to the soup.
Absolutely. If it's one thing we know in the staple of the culinary world, you can always add salt, but you can't take it.
Exactly.
So it's always better to err on the side of caution instead of putting yourself in danger.
Yep.
I guess you could say.
That's for sure.
Because once you over salt, there's no going back.
No, there's not.
Okay, then what we do now is we have the soup pretty much ready to go. We'll let that go for about 15, 20 minutes, just kind of let it simmer. And then while we're waiting on that, we can start with our vaca frita, which the vaca frita is basically a slow roasted flank steak that we deglaze with a little bit of white wine, orange juice, soy sauce, sugar, and then carrots and celery. We'll just let that basically slow cook and braise for about 2 hours. And then once it comes out, we got seasoning. Now we got the hot pot right here we'll start with. We just want to get our oil in there. I like to go a little bit heavier on the oil because we're going to be using that for the carrots, the celery, the onion, and we're also going to be using that for the beef. Because we want to make sure we get a good sear on that beef, lock that flavor, and keep the juice out.
Yeah. Yeah, you put too little in there, then all the stuff that's in there soaks it all up.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like anything, you gotta love hearing that little sound.
That's right. Exactly. Chris, I guess that's why that they call you the mayor of delicious city, right?
I won't deny that.
All right, buddy. That's what I thought.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that, the onion, the carrot, the celery, we'll let that sit there. We'll go for about maybe a minute. You want to get a little bit of browning, a little bit of color on it, because once you start getting that caramelization on the food itself, that's gonna bring down more of the flavor, the sweetness in the onion, you know, a little bit of also the carrot and celery. Then after that's done, what we're gonna do is, as you can see, we have our flank steak.
Nice.
And what it did is we get them in right off the rack. And what I'll do is I'll try. You don't have to trim all the fat off, but I'll try to trim about 3/4 of the fat itself off.
Yeah.
Leave a little bit on there. That way, kind of also keep some of the flavor in, that kind of stuff. Because when we break it down and shred it, it's good to have a little fat. You just don't want too much.
And that's something else I wanted to ask you about. A lot of people, when they look at meat like that, they're like, why is there so much fat on there? There really isn't that much fat.
No.
That right there actually adds the flavor to the meat that you're
Absolutely.
actually
And it's like some people are confused about it. I mean, we got good marbling on this
Yes.
as well. As you can see, that's not all fat to some people.
Yep.
All right, now we're getting covered on the onions, carrots. Let them go for about 1 more minute, and then we'll be able to add that steak in there, and then we're going to sear that really nice and hard. And this is one thing too, with a dish like this, once we're done, we'll strain all the carrots, we'll take the meat out, strain the carrots, the onions, and the celery out of it, and then we'll use that as our actual stepping. Because it's got, you got a little bit of wine in it already, you got the beef juices and everything else,
Yep.
and seasoning, so it's good to strain that up, and we'll use that as our actual sauce on the top.
Yeah, it's a great way to incorporate what you want to use.
Yep, absolutely. We don't like to waste around these parts.
That's right.
Okay, now what we'll do, and we have it ready, put our beef in there. Go.
Looking really good there.
Yep. Now what we do now is we just kind of let it go. Sometimes it's good to just let the pan sit, let you get that caramelization on the bottom. And once we do caramelize the beef and it's good sear on all sides, get a little bit of brown on there, we'll deglaze it with the white wine and the orange juice. Try to scrape some of that up because, as we know, that's flavor where we're from.
Right.
We'll keep that going, and after that, then what we do is basically we'll just top everything off, throw the rest of the liquids in there, toss it in the oven, and just let it go for a couple hours.
Awesome.
It's nice too. It's just a different kind of dish that I think we get to really promote down here in the Inlet. You have so many different kinds of foods. It's nice to bring in something different.
Well, I mean, that's
for
true.
restaurants.
Yeah, that's true. Because and also you got a lot of people that are influxing into the area,
Yeah.
right? And they're used to this kind of stuff. They just can't find it.
Yep.
So whenever you have people asking in social media chats, hey, where can I find this kind of food? And all of a sudden, they see it starting to pop up in restaurants like Mojo's, Marina, Grille. They're like, oh wow, let me go try it and see if it tastes like what I used to know that it tastes like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then whenever they figure out, hey, this actually tastes good or as better as it was, then you got customers for life.
And even like with our tamales that we have on hand, our chicken tamales, we creme fraiche, we have queso fresco, and we also have a mole, which we actually do make our mole from scratch. And if anyone knows anything about mole, it's a very intricate, very extenuous kind of process with all the stuff you got to put in there. So, but it's worth it in the long run. The flavor is unlike any we'll get to try. So it's just nice to do something different.
When you do a mole, do you like to use it on a chicken or a steak?
We are using our mole on the chicken. Yep. As you can see, we're starting to get some of that brown on there.
Yes, you are.
And that's what we want.
Just so you know, these dishes that Chris is cooking are going to be available for MarshWalk Restaurant Week, February 21st to the 25th. Yeah, I mean, I can really smell it, man. It's smelling really good.
Nice, that caramelization brings out the sweetness, the flavors of the meat, and everything else like that.
Yeah.
And then now that we have a little bit of you'll see on some of this meat that we have here, now we have actually got a nicer brown color. It doesn't have to be seared the whole way. It is going to be, you just want to kind of get a little bit of color on the outside, get a little bit of char. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add the white wine that we have. All right. Soy sauce. Couple pieces of garlic, orange juice,
There you go. Now you're talking.
sugar, then a little bit of water. This is the water, keep it drying out. You want to keep it so it kind of covers all the meat.
Right.
And then we'll let that go and sit there, and then what we'll do is we'll bring that to a boil, and then once this comes to a boil, just put a cover, put it in the oven for about 375, and let it go for about 2 hours.
Wow, nice.
And then basically what I'll do is I'll show you guys what we have. This is the pre-made process, and this is what happens whenever we have the whole process done in a big batch. And you can see what comes out there.
Oh, look how pretty that looks.
You can see the very seared meats, everything in there. It just falls apart right off the bone. There's absolutely no give or take on that whatsoever.
And the smell is awesome. That is awesome.
And then what we'll do is, like I said, we'll pull the beef out, we'll pull the carrots, the celery, the garlic, we'll strain it all out, and then we'll reduce that liquid and turn that into our actual demi that we use for the vodka freeze.
Okay. A question somebody might have asked me is, why wouldn't you use a red wine?
Well, it's honestly that's kind of up to you. I know a lot of people, when it comes to making a stock, or especially beef stock, they want to use red wine.
Yeah.
But I kind of leave that up to choice. It's not necessarily a staple, but a lot of people with the blood we have the beef and everything else, and the red, it just kind of marries well with the sauce. But here, with the soy sauce that we have in there and all the caramelized sugar, it's not going to make so much.
Okay.
But that is good. And that's pretty much it right there, brother.
All right.
Then now we can do it to where we get the plated stuff and show you what we have as far as everything being done. Like
Yeah.
the soups.
I think I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like plated, and I'm also looking forward to seeing what it tastes like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, I really appreciate you having me back here in the kitchen at Mojo's Marina Bar and Grill. I'm really thankful to have you let me come back again for MarshWalk Restaurant Week. I'm so excited to be back here in Myrtle's Inlet. I've been in Greenville. I've been to a lot of restaurants in Greenville, but you can't replace the seafood here in Myrtle's Inlet, that's for sure. And you guys are going to have a great MarshWalk Restaurant Week starting February 21st. Again, Chris, thank you.
Thank you, man. It's great to have you as always, bud. Appreciate it, man.